Ugh, I just want this layer over with already. My fiche is filled up and I got a ton of items in the plastic bag. I tentatively etched into the soil with my smallest trowel, trying to determine where this layer ended and the new one began. It wasn't as clear-cut as I had hoped. Hendrik did say the sediments were rarely consistent like a cake. I glanced at the glossy photograph, comparing the felt lines marked on it to my progress in the actual square. I might as well pester KYLER again and get his opinion, since we're practically working on the same thing. I yanked my earbuds out and turned down the volume. When I was done, I stuck my hand in front of KYLER's face and waved. Oh. He sighed, but turned on his implant. Yes, what is it? I ignored his weary monotone and tapped my square with my trowel to direct his gaze. I summarized my predicament. So any idea where the new layer starts? What's the layer you're working on now? I quickly referenced my photograph. 3BMS. And I'm trying to see where 3CL starts. Shuffling out of the way, I observed KYLER intently as he rubbed the excess dirt off his trowel. With neat precision, he scooped out a bit of the exposed 3BMS soil and placed it on his hand. After wiping the trowel on his knuckles, he examined the sediments again. Which spot are you uncertain of? Right here. This time he carefully dug out a sample of the possible layer, leaving a visible mark. Once both pieces were in the palm of his hand, he placed his tool down and leaned toward me. I curiously peered down. I was going to do this, but this went really well last time. Kind of cheered him up, so I'm kind of thinking I'm going to pick this. Please don't tell me you're going to put that in your mouth. After a moment of bafflement, KYLER burst out laughing. He shook his head to reassure me. I did not expect his reaction, and it was a pleasant surprise. Yay! No, it's not like that. Phew! For a second I was worried we were going to taste test it. I guess you could. The textures would be different, but I'm not a connoisseur of dirt. It'd probably all taste the same. Grimy with an earthy aftertaste. That face. Well, if you want to eat dirt, be my guest. But I think my method will be a little less disgusting. The amused smile faded and he became serious again. Here, your hand. I obeyed and he placed the first sample into my palm. Try rolling it into a ball. I sandwiched it and cycled my hands, feeling the dirt tumble between them. I held it up. However, there were cracks already and I could feel it fall apart between my fingers. It sorta works. It crumbles easily, though. Very gritty. Sandy, even. Sand with a bit of loam. If it was pure sand, it wouldn't form a ball in the first place. Now for the second one. I wiped my hands on my hoodie before I accepted it and repeated the process. This time the dirt held together quite nicely, and the texture felt smoother. Does it feel like the same layer to you? Not at all. I presented the rolled-up sample and KYLER took it back. He started to flatten the ball into a thread, but it broke before it could get thin enough. It's loam. Neat, you're good at this. He wiped his hands, then hastily glanced away as he grabbed his trowel. It wasn't anything spectacular. It's a method to test the soil texture. Besides, it's already explained. What do you mean? The names for each layer. It's not a bunch of random letters and numbers. They follow a structure. They use terms to help describe the sediment, whether it's texture, color, or grain size. 3BMS. The MS stands for marne sableuse, which means sandy loam. 3CM is loam. Huh, it really is more straightforward than I thought. Are there any sediments you hate excavating? The layers that are purely rock and stone are pretty annoying. And clay sediments. Clay is extremely adhesive, and it's a pain to clean the trowel every few cuts to take the dirt off. The bottom layers of our squares contain clay. Great. I picked up my trowel and examined the 2 spots KYLER had notched. Anyway, thanks for showing me that trick. Sorry to keep bothering you about this. I try to ask Sherry when I can. It's fine.
What did you call us before? Square mates?
I believe I did. Why, accepting that title now?
We are working side by side, and we might as well help each other out.
More like helping me out. I'm the one needing it.
It is your first time here. No matter how often you read about it, it's not until you excavate that you really grasp how it works.
True. I felt like I understood nothing, but now I'm getting more confident with the procedures. KYLER simply nodded as he became completely absorbed in his excavation again. I inserted my earbuds and cranked up the volume. There was one other positive to working beside him. I could play my music as loud as I wanted without it distracting him. Bonus, yeah. Ow! I need a band-aid. Girl, what you doing? Why you failing every day? Please, internet. No! Why? What is happening? We're going down. Ugh. Bucket swaying in my grip, I made my way down the main catwalk, intending to return to my square. Oh, hi, DeAndre. I paused when I saw DeAndre staring at the dirt wall in deep concentration. Every few moments he would raise his trowel, but stop inches before the blade touched the soil, then retreat. He looked like he was about to defuse a bomb, but he didn't know which wire to cut. Hey, DeAndre, what's up? Startled, he turned toward me, and his focused expression melted into a relieved grin.
Hey, just finished the towel massage?
Yes, the layer I'm working on is mostly dirt, so there's not much to find. What about you? You seem a little hesitant.
I'm starting to see why I delayed picking an elective. Right now I'm paranoid about digging through heaps of layers and not being aware of it.
He handed over the photograph, and I balked at the number of pencil marks that were drawn, erased, and redrawn, along with ink lines that were dotted instead of solid. And I thought I struggled with my square. If anything, his square was easier due to all the rocks that clearly indicated the end of a layer. You cleared out the couche de merde nicely.
That was the easy part. It was compressed and dark compared to the next sediments. They all blur into a blob of brown. How am I even supposed to tell them apart?
DeAndre. Oh, this wasn't here the first time. I will teach you what I know. There's always etching out the stratigraphy, but that's only a temporary solution and not the most reliable. If you like, I can show you a method to tell sediments apart without resorting to the photograph alone.
Really? Sweet as.
Here, I'll show you. Recalling what KYLER taught me, I made one notch in the uppermost sediment and a second in the layer directly beneath it. I presented it to DeAndre, who glanced at it curiously, but also with a sense of expectation.
We're comparing it?
By testing the texture. Here, can you form a ball with this one? I tipped my hand over so he caught the first sample, and he rolled it casually. However, the dirt failed to stick together. That's a very sandy layer, all right. Here's the second one. Is there any difference?
This one sticks together.
He held it between his thumb and pointer finger to demonstrate. And voila! The color is similar, but the texture isn't. Of course, this is more useful if the sediments are silty. It looks like half of your square is pure rocks.
I think that's one whole layer.
He descended his hand like an elevator to emphasize the scope.
Anyway, thanks for that. Maybe I'll do a decent job here. I don't want to go back to the lab.
Didn't like the lab so much?
Ugh, it was boring and repetitive. Then again, so is excavating, but at least you're not getting high off ink and nail polish fumes. Sorry, this is something you're striving for, and I sorta...
Please, it's fine. Even if you don't like it, I'm glad you're trying to do your best anyway.
That's to avoid failing. I'd hate to end up retaking an elective, especially one that goes for a full semester. I just want to graduate already. 3-year degree. More like 5 if you're balancing work as well.
Work? What's your job?
I play for Perona RC. RC stands for Rugby Club, of course.
It's not your university team? I always assumed it was like that. And you get paid for it. Wait.
That's right, I'm a professional rugby player. My team participates in the top flight league here.
No way! Why didn't you tell me before?
It's not that amazing, Mel. I certainly worked my arse off for it, but I'm not one to brag. Much. Besides, even if I did, it's not as if you'd heard of the team or even of the league.
True, I don't even follow it back home. Is rugby popular here?
Not as popular as football or cycling, but it's a growing sport.
And aren't you required to train all year round or something?
Shoot, what did that email say? I think the training resumes in early August, but of course the coach is understanding of my situation. The season itself starts in the fall and runs until May. What, afraid I'll have to leave so soon?
Despite rolling my eyes, I chuckled at his question. He gestured to his square.
Now that you've helped me not to fail, I should probably stop distracting you. I don't want you to get marks deducted because you decided to flirt with the star player.
That elicited another laugh from me, and we exchanged a cheerful goodbye. Remembering to grab my bucket, I made a beeline for the ladder. Excuse me. I was surprised to find out DeAndre was a professional athlete. There didn't seem to be much fuss surrounding him here. And he keeps trying to steal my heart over and over.
Oh, I succeeded.
Oh no. Wait, seriously? How did I end up here? I skidded to a halt to get a better idea of my location. My morning jog had been extended way longer than I'd intended. Oh, I'll try this off-road, I said. I won't get lost, I said. The hoodie around my waist had gotten loose, and I retied the sleeves while I walked briskly along the street. I was definitely high up. Beside me was a steep slope, and I knew the cave was located somewhere below. It's already past 8. I should have found my way back like 20 minutes ago. I sauntered closer to the slope and peered down, wondering if I could find a shortcut. No way! That's the cave down there! It was unmistakable. There was a protruding shed half hidden in the rock, and I could see the worn path. I did not see any trail that descended down. Not without weaving through the bushes and trees, anyway. If I backtracked, I would be horribly late. What to do, what to do. And I noticed last time when I was editing during Joan's route, and I came to this part, that all of these options are the same thing. That's why we went down the hill. Just go for it. There's no other option than to hurl yourself down the slope. And since when have you ever acted rationally? You're not starting now. Hurl yourself down the slope. Sure. I really didn't have a choice in the matter, did I? Nope. I took one precise step to secure my footing before launching myself, then half slipped, half ran down the slope. Narrowly dodging trees, I stumbled and ended up bursting through a thicket of bushes. Do all these bushes have thorns? What is this? I shielded... Pardon me again. I shielded my face as I ducked under the lower branches. As the walkway came into view, I grabbed a tree trunk to stop my momentum, huffing and puffing heavily from my detour. Oh. Oh right, I was working in the cave, not the lab today. Shoji watched me stagger into the wet screening room, all scratched with leaves stuck to me everywhere. Melissa, are you okay? I lowered one hand to a bent knee as I caught my breath. Straightening up, I mustered a weak smile while I wiped the front of my shirt. Yeah. The sandbag relic switch didn't work out, and I got chased by a boulder on the way down. Maybe you should consider another career outside of archaeology, Laura Derike. I chuckled and untied my hoodie, throwing it on while I walked over to the stack of buckets. And give up this dangerous lifestyle? Please. Shoji went ahead while I collected the required items, along with a document of the layer I was working on. When I climbed down the last ladder, I was surprised to find the excavation spot deserted. Oh, right. KYLER's at the lab. No, he's not. I checked! What is this? It only took a quick survey to see that he was nearly done with his first 25-centimeter intervals. He clearly works fast. I wonder if I'll pick up speed. The catchy tunes of jazz played through my earbuds while I concentrated on excavating. I wiped the sweat off my forehead, wondering why I was baking in a chilly place. Eyeing the two heat lamps angled toward the square, I was certain they weren't the cause. Shivering, I rubbed the back of my head and shrugged my shoulders. It can't be because of the jog. That was hours ago. I continued to scrape dirt from under a rock. However, the blade trembled and my movements became shaky. I dropped the tool as dread settled in. Crap. I shoved my hands into my pockets, searching for the hard candies I had on me whenever my blood sugar ran low. I froze when I realized they were empty, and I frantically patted myself down. I always carried emergency rations on me. How could... Oh no. They must have fallen out of my pocket when I slid down the slope. This is bad. Not wasting time, I turned for the exit. My heart rate soared, whether from the hypoglycemia or from the distress, I wasn't sure. I scurried up the ladder with a burst of adrenaline, but by the time I reached the next one, my movements were clumsy. I continued, not wanting to slip. Should I alert someone? Who would know English? My diabetic bag. It would be in the tent. Since I jogged straight to the cave, I skipped breakfast and failed to pick it up, too. I panicked, reflecting on my routine and how important it was to keep it rigid. Now I was paying for it. Melissa? Oh, Melissa? A timid voice jolted me out of my inner rambles. I still clung to the ladder. Well, more like heavily leaned on it and didn't budge. Shoji, you wouldn't happen to have something sweet on you right now? A candy bar, or... No, why? Are you hungry? I hoisted myself up another step, my hand clinging to the railing of the catwalk. It was best to be frank before confusion symptoms settled in and it became difficult to speak. Shoji, don't panic, but I'm feeling low. I'm type 1 diabetic, and I need sugar now. He glanced at my medical bracelet. I felt guilty scaring him like that. However, he did not get as alarmed as I expected. Or maybe he was better at hiding it. Should I get you something? No, it's better if I get to the museum before... I trailed off, not wanting to bring up the possibility of seizures or fainting. However, the dangerous implications lingered, and we both walked down the alley to the exit. By the time I was outside, I started to stagger. Shoji darted an arm out and held me close to him. Aw. Sorry. No, it's fine. No, it wasn't fine, but we had to keep going, and each step felt cumbersome. My body leaned on him heavily, and I forced myself to remain upright the best I could. I'm sorry. I would carry you, but the path is uneven, and I don't want to drop you. We're almost there. Just another step. I didn't know how, but we made it to the kitchen area. While Shoji supported me, I heard DeAndre and KYLER snapping at each other behind the counter. The words were in French, but even I could tell it wasn't friendly banter. Shoji tried to address the other two repeatedly. Excusez-moi. Pouvez to my day. When it proved futile, Shoji took a step forward, but stopped to steady me. He was torn between getting their attention and leaving me to raid the kitchen. Joan was so fierce, she's like, "Move!" Before I could encourage him to go on. Melissa, forgive me. What? With both arms, he scooped me up effortlessly. Ah! I let out a shrill yelp, which obviously caused quite a sight. KYLER! DeAndre! Melissa fait de la hypoglycémie. Elle a besoin de quelque chose de sucré. Quoi? DeAndre and KYLER exchanged shocked glances. KYLER went to the fridge with a cup in hand. Shoji walked over to the benches and set me down gingerly, his arm not leaving my back. Wow, so strong. DeAndre tried to rush over, but KYLER barked out something harsh. DeAndre retreated a few steps, his fist clenched tightly. Oh my, so close! Hi, KYLER! I trembled violently as KYLER knelt down and futilely tried to place the drink in my hand. My fingers quivered, so he held them to prevent further shaking and helped lift the overflowing cup to my lips. The sweetness of apple juice filled my mouth, and I took tiny sips. Amidst all this, I could hear a worried female voice, followed by Hendrik and Shoji exchanging dialogue in French. No one barraged me with questions. While my condition improved, KYLER removed his grip, and Shoji inched farther down the bench to give me more space. I licked my lips and wiped my mouth with an arm as I mumbled behind my knuckles. Merci beaucoup. My amount of gratitude could not be expressed in just 2 words, but I hoped they would sense the heartfelt emotion behind them. How are you feeling? Much better. I admit it's been a while since I've had an episode like that.
What was that exactly? You looked as if you were going to pass out right then and there. Don't pester her with questions. She's still recovering. The hell, man? Who died and made you boss?
Please calm down. The tension dissolved and the 3 looked at me worryingly. I cradled the cup in my lap as I formulated an answer. I'm okay now. Honest. Okay, so I can ask Shoji to stay when I do this. Okay, this I know KYLER doesn't like. That's for Shoji. Time alone? Does that mean I'll stay here? Like these, I mean I'm gonna leave. And KYLER's volunteering, and I want to be near KYLER. I need to be alone for a while. Recollect my thoughts, check my glucose levels, stuff like that. DeAndre and KYLER exchanged glances while Shoji was hesitant. KYLER nodded sympathetically, as the other 2 were torn with my wish. You seem well enough. Don't push yourself. Of course. Promise. Thanks, KYLER. The cooks retreated to the outdoor kitchen, and Shoji stood up, unsure of what to do. Shoji, thanks for escorting me here. I couldn't have made it without you. It was no problem. Take it easy, Melissa. What a sweetheart. I guess I'm leaving anyway. After a few deep breaths, or breathes, I forced myself to stand up, drink still in hand. I grabbed my bag from the tent and retreated to the campfire area where it was quiet. Moreover, it would be too stuffy in the tent at this time of day. I waited a few minutes, then tested my sugar levels. I kept the apple juice nearby in case I needed to drink more. Oh, phew. Above 70 now. Ugh. Even if the symptoms were gone, I still felt hollow and sick inside from the close call. Being alone made me focus on my internal thoughts too much. I always felt better with company. Oh! Wish and ye shall receive. Hearing soft footsteps, I finished zipping my bag and glanced up. I did not expect to see KYLER coming to check on me. Wordlessly, he sat down in the chair next to me, one elbow resting on his knee as he leaned forward. How are you feeling? Much better now. The apple juice was a good choice, thank you. His eyes drifted toward my medical bracelet, then hastily looked away, not wanting to appear invasive. I lifted my wrist to demonstrate that it was acceptable. It was meant to be noticeable, after all. Sorry for not noticing before. I did recognize the medical bracelet, but I didn't think to ask. It's fine. Normally I can look after myself, but I lost my candy during my jog. I'll be more careful. Nodding, KYLER stood up. Don't forget to finish your apple juice. Actually... Mention he poured too much or tease that he poured too much? I want to tease, but I don't think we're close enough yet. I gotta restrain myself. You overdid it a bit with the apple juice. Half a cup would have sufficed. With raised eyebrows, he absorbed that information keenly. It's like, ah. Yeah, KYLER's a Vulcan. We gotta just... Here's the facts. I had no idea how much you needed, so I filled it to the brim. No, that's understandable. Better safe than sorry. I don't need it anymore. Don't worry about the juice, then. I'll dispose of it for you. Thanks. He picked up the cup, then gave me a nod of acknowledgement before returning to the kitchen. I wondered on whether I should retire to my tent or continue excavating despite my exhaustion. A few minutes later, I heard someone else approaching. There you are! Sorry about not finding you. I needed to get my glucose levels back to normal first. No, I understand. Do you know what caused it? I didn't see you at breakfast. I got lost. Not only did I jog longer than I intended, but I also skipped a meal. This made me sound more and more irresponsible as I went on. And I lost my emergency candy. Please don't fail me. I wouldn't deduct marks for this. Melissa, I think you should get some rest. Let's focus on getting your meal schedule back on track. Right. However, I'd like to talk to you about this later. My shoulders pricked and I could only stammer in agreement. What will she bring up anyway? I hope it's not about monitoring me. Sad face. I can't succeed, except in cutting vegetables. I know you're capable, but what happened doesn't sit well with me. You'll be alone all weekend, and none of us are staying in Korean. If you'd like, you can stay with Helena and me. I held in a groan. If it was only one night, I would be fine with it. However, I felt it would be an inconvenience if I roomed there for 3 nights. Moreover, I wasn't sure if I would enjoy spending time there, with the language barrier and age gap. I promise I'll monitor myself extra carefully over the weekend. I can set an alarm to wake myself up to check my glucose levels. I can leave food next to my bed. I can do a lot of things. I know you feel it hinders your independence, but you're my only student on this field trip. It's my responsibility to guarantee your safety and well-being. I want this to be a wonderful experience. Maybe I should cancel my plans and stay here, just in case. At that moment, the office chair swiveled around and Hendrik casually veered from his laptop. If it's not a problem, I could stay. It'd be no trouble, and I'd catch up on my work, too. Oh, would you? You're a godsend, Hendrik. Relieved, Sherry exhaled with a hand on her chest. From her tone of voice, it was like the choice was already made without my input. She must have known him for a long time to place that much trust in him. Of course, Melissa has the final say. Don't feel pressure to say yes because I offered. You know yourself best, and I respect your decision. My eyes darted between Sherry and Hendrik, one obviously more distraught than the other. I know myself best, huh? Then I'll decline, because my boo gets jealous pretty easily. Thank you, Hendrik, but I know I'll be okay on my own. He gave an understanding nod and glanced over to gauge Sherry's reaction. Oh, if you strongly believe that, Melissa, then I'll comply. However, Hendrik does live the closest, I think. Where are you now? Just outside of Namur. I'm 15 minutes away by truck, 10 if I rush. You wouldn't mind being an emergency contact, would you? Hendrik exchanged a knowing glance with me, and I gave him a strained smile. We silently agreed her concerns were a tad overbearing. I'll jot my cell number down right now. He swiveled in his seat as he turned to his desk once again to grab a pen. We heard a light rap on the doorframe. Augustin walked through the entrance, announcing that he had locked everything up, save the back and front door.
All done. Now has the discussion been settled?
Augustin had been in the same room briefly when Sherry first addressed me. Therefore, he had the gist of the situation. It has. The routine will stay the same, and Melissa will remain here over the weekend. I'll be fine. I already talked it over, and Hendrik will be an emergency contact since he lives close by.
Then we will see you Monday, Melissa. Don't push yourself too hard.
A tap on the table drew my attention, and I saw slanted writing on paper. Hendrik closed his laptop and pulled the plug. I'll leave my number here. Awesome. Thanks. Once their belongings were sorted, the trio filed out, and I followed to give them a proper goodbye. After they left, I closed the front door and retreated back into the laboratory, wondering what to do for the rest of the evening. Oh geez, what was that? The stairs creaked as if someone had stepped on the bottom step. Slowly, the creaks got closer and slower and then stopped. I rolled over and peered at the exit, half expecting someone to be standing there. Wind rattled through the cracks in the roof, creating a high-pitched whistle. I pulled the sleeping bag over me, trying not to whimper. I cranked up my 3DP and inserted the earbuds, hoping to forget the scary sounds. Luckily, the Wi-Fi was still on, and I connected my handheld. A few of my friends were online playing various games, including an unfamiliar avatar. Oh yeah, we exchanged friend codes recently. Wait, Shoji is still awake? Using the touchscreen, I navigated to the messaging system that came with the handheld and decided to contact him. It was clunky without a keyboard, but I needed someone to talk to more than playing a game. How to greet him. Let's try this one for a change. And what are you doing up? Get to bed, you night owl. I could say the same thing to you. And what are you doing up? Sobbing like a kid in my sleeping bag. I'm alone in the museum and it sounds so scary, just like a horror film. Can you keep talking to me until I fall asleep, please? Sure. Do you have access to your laptop? It'll be easier to talk that way. The touch screen on these things are painfully slow. Yeah, what messengers do you use? I'm my Sophronia Mel on WeChat Together. Perfect. I'll add you so you know who I am in a minute. See you then. I shut my handheld and poked my head out of the sleeping bag. Yanking my earbuds out, I slipped out from the covers. Grabbing my laptop, I set it on the floor beside my air mattress, making sure the cord wasn't strained against the outlet. Resting on my stomach, I impatiently logged in and was relieved to find a notification. Shoji, not Shota, has added you. Yay! Thanks, this will help me forget all of the horror movie noises. Happy to help. So you stay at the cave site alone? Yeah, Sherry's at her friend's place. A fellow student was supposed to come, but family emergency and stuff. What's with the name? People mistake you a lot? Yes, and it's annoying. Well, what about yours? What's a Sophronia? It's based on my favorite swing song. I love it. When I hear it, I want to rock around the clock and jump, jive, and wail and all that jazz. You can say, I dig swing. Ba-dum-tsh. We've been hanging around Hendrik for too long. Ugh. Are you feeling less scared now? Is there anything else I could do? Let's see. Bunnies. Still terrified. I need cute animal videos. Do you know of any? I love bunnies. Or maybe some curling cats. I'll see what I can do. Probably have something in my vision history. For the rest of the night, Shoji provided me with links to various videos to keep my mind focused on something light and fluffy. Since I was preoccupied watching, our conversations were non-existent, save for repetitive commentary. Before I knew it, I gave him a hasty goodbye and passed out, my ears no longer paying attention to the creaks and howls echoing through the museum. It was a nice, dreamless sleep. Phew. Thanks, Shoji. Oh, we succeeded. What I really need to succeed in is dancing. Yes, good girl.